All right, so welcome back to Metaverse Insider. Today we're going to jump into ApeCoin and how it's trending, along with some other news on Coinbase and their NFT marketplace. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to the show today. Let's get into a couple of topics here. One, of course, is ApeCoin. Everybody I know has been asking about this one, and I love kind of both the responses at the same time, kind of the overview of where opinion is on ApeCoin. A lot of people look at it as true meme coin. Some people look at it as, hey, this is a revolution of metaverse. So I just want to kind of break down a few things. ApeCoin soaring here as Bored Ape fans await the other side launch, which is their land approach. A lot of people are speculating. This kind of breaks it down right here. Ape jumped nearly 58% past 2 days. It is on an all-time high. Again, rumors have suggested that other side will sell plots of land in a Dutch auction, which means bidding will open at around 600 Ape. This could be one of the big reasons why people are looking at this as a pump for ApeCoin overall. I'd love to get you guys' feedback though. Are you holding ApeCoin? Drop it in the comments below. And if you are you planning on selling it or holding it, or kind of what's your strategy? Just kind of give me a heads up on that. 3 days as a BAYC land drop rumor goes viral. This is where the price of ApeCoin has climbed 55%. Just to show you some of the ideas behind this, this is an alpha leak that says these projects are the ones that are going to be whitelisted to mint in the other side land. Now, many of you already know, kind of how this works if you're following Bored Ape Yacht Club and kind of the whole approach on this, especially with the game drop coming soon. So you got CryptoPunks in here, Meebits is in here, Cool Cats, Nouns, Wow, Toads, which is an interesting one. I've actually looked at this project. And if you look at Toads right now, currently trading floor is at over 419. Nice spread on this one, a little bit of a spread on that one. This one's got a little bit of time. So this is another one that I think some of these projects I feel like are going to, just by association, increase in terms of value, especially if this rumor is true. So we're going to be watching that very closely. Other uses of ApeCoin and how that might play into kind of the strategy of whether or not you should buy the token is this story right here from Decrypt. Bored Ape Yacht Club themed burger joint now debuting in California. This gets into some really interesting territory because I feel like licensing gets into the whole aspect of the use case. This is one that I think people will look at in the future. The point right here they're talking about is NFT includes the rights to that image, and holders can use their apes as they best see fit. In this case, Kevin's CO and Andy Nguyen, members of the Bored Ape community, decided to open a pop-up restaurant based on ape number 6184, and Bored Ape Hungry was born. So I'm curious as to whether or not this would be classified as a commercial instance. And I believe that this would be the case. My guess is, and I'm not an attorney, but my guess is this is one that would kind of violate what they've been talking about. If you look at just a statement right here, who owns the NFT, this goes into the actual statement of Larva Labs, the creator right there, doesn't attach IP rights to its NFTs, and apparently uses something called NFT license, which allows using the NFTs for personal and non-commercial use. That doesn't include selling, so you can't sell 1 million t-shirts, etc. on this. So this to me is obviously one of the scenarios that we have to face, but licensing a Bored Ape, because essentially that's what you're doing. You're renting and licensing the ape itself. I wonder how long that's going to be before we start to see use cases kind of get exhausted, and whether or not this could become a problem for Larva Labs down the road in terms of a licensing and IP issue that we'll continue to see going forward. Other stuff that's happening around the ApeCoin is Nexo. Nexo, of course, is jumping in. If you're musing, I like this one. If you're musing the possibility of selling your ApeCoin, hold that thought. Let's borrow against it. No fees. Nexo account starting at 0%. For most of you, this is outside the United States. And this is a pretty good deal, I think, in reference if you've looked at Celsius or Nexo or many of these kind of platforms that offer crypto loans and you can leverage against. Not a bad deal if you're into ape and holding some ApeCoin and maybe are considering going that direction and you're one of our viewers that are outside the US. So interesting one for sure. The other thing breaking is this right here. Nexo also talking about a 12% earning capacity on ApeCoin. This is literally Polkadot level. And if you follow Polkadot much, you probably on some of the exchanges know you're getting anywhere from 10 to 12%. This is a pretty significant amount. I think this could also be one of those things. Now, it could be a fad. We could see this being more of a fad type project. How it holds out, I think the game will tell us a lot. And then also the community itself as it holds into the future. What does that really look like? And there are elements within this that does have some very unique internet culture connected to it, and why internet culture, and in some cases like fast fashion or some of the things that you see within Twitter that become things. And I think Bored Ape may be that kind of component. It has that very cool and hip factor associated with it. ApeCoin, depending on how the game does, which I think it will do well based on what we've seen just in reference of leaks and inside information of how it's going to maybe roll out into the market. So I think that is a potential where it could lean into this for sure. Yield farming opportunities also for Ape holders. So AVAX, Trader Joe, Ape AVAX is 121% right now. BNB on Ape Swap, 141%, and then on Moonbeam with Stella Swap, you've got 181% with Glimmer. So some very interesting ways here. And then upcoming, they've got Spooky Swap, Pancake, and then Kyber and Aurora Swap. I have not looked at that one before. But this is something that I do think, as we see some projects kind of leaning into this, this is kind of the next evolution of it, and that is earning and, of course, yield farming, which kind of open up the gateways as to where this is going. Let's get into another one here. Friends at Coinbase are making a huge film featuring ApeCoin. That will be another one, the Degen trilogy. I think, again, we'll continue to see more IP rights flowing into Hollywood, music, all sorts of things on this IP. And I think as Larva really kind of rolls out, the cool thing is the creativity that they've put behind this is pretty significant. And what it might do to the future of NFTs could really kind of set the bar. And as you guys are really marking the token right now in terms of tracking, ApeCoin has flipped almost all the metaverses out there. So it is now the #1 metaverse in terms of overall market cap. And that's things like Decentraland, Axie, et cetera. These are projects that have been around for quite some time. So for it to do that in a very short period of time, pretty impressive. Ether.Fi now is accepting ApeCoin. And if you've got one, you've got a Punk, or you've got other Larva aspects, or any NFT, I guess now you're going to be able to put that on a phone case. Actually, I have one of these cases, so I think they're pretty cool. I do like Ether.Fi. It's one of those very interesting ways, but I do see a lot of companies that are going to start leveraging in against this. I think this is going to create some very interesting legal scenarios that may open up IP and licensing rights across the board of how NFTs are going to be addressed. We got to get an attorney on to talk about this, because I think this really starts to open things up in a very intriguing way. Somewhat that could thwart, the aspect of it, but at the same time could also create kind of that Disney-esque approach, meaning kind of that untouchable brand. That's something that I do think is interesting in how that might move forward. Here's Alexis Ohanian, who is the founder of Reddit. If you have not listened to him, he's a big proponent and also a big Solana lover. He talks about it really going into the whole aspect that this is a whole scenario of how Bored Ape is seeping into internet culture. And I would recommend, just go search on Twitter this tweet right here from 776, which is his VC investment fund that goes out and works on crypto and blockchain projects. But just check this out. He's got a really good Bane impersonations, which I love. I got a pretty good Bane impersonation. I should do it someday, but not today. All right, let's get into this. ApeCoin now available on Binance Pay. I'm telling you, the amount of partnerships or the amount of bandwagon scenarios in terms of strategies for companies that are jumping into the ape camp is pretty significant. And I think with that being the case, some of these are going to stick. Some of these are going to be in a position that it starts to really become no longer a phenomenon, but truly a new type of investment class, but also a new category in terms of internet lore and culture. You can bet online is now accepting ApeCoin for deposits, withdrawals at the sportsbook in the casino. So, hey, let's take a little bit of our casino money out to the casino. I like that one. Coinbase right here, of course, hitting the NFT marketplace theme, and that is launching in their beta. This is something that is quite a bit different than the traditional marketplaces that are out there right now, like OpenSea, Rarible, etc. Coinbase is going a different approach, and I feel like this might actually be a good move for them. It's still yet to see. And what I mean by the different approach, meaning they're kind of trying to create this as a social network, more of Instagram style-esque. And I think with that approach, as opposed to the true marketplace approach that like what OpenSea and Rarible and many of others have done, I think this might be a play for them, considering their ability to, one, connect to a large base of crypto users that are very savvy and maybe just want to gateway in to NFTs for the first time. So lots happening there. I wonder if there's anything on this guy right here on how you can create. Let's go into their video just to kind of see what they've got to show us on this, because I think this is, again, this gets back into whether or not NFTs are going to be here for a long time. We've seen this with FTX. We've seen this now with Coinbase, and I think we're going to see more and more companies integrating it in. And this is something that even Gary Vee talks about this a little bit, is that at some point all of this, he thinks, is going to go to the floor, and there will only be a handful of projects that really break loose and come out of this. I'm not so sure about that now. I think with NFTs, the branding element, the potential for really kind of leveraging up with smart contracts and the use cases with brands, marketing, all those kind of things, I think it might change the dynamic around this. Now, there will be a large amount of non-utility based NFTs that absolutely crash to the floor. But anything that has utility, partnerships, or brands behind it, I'm not so sure. I think those are going to be ones that probably stick around here. So it's in beta right now. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I think Coinbase is one of those Amazon-esque style apps. I mean, it's very utility based. It has a good, solid, Web3, Web2 transitional look. But I think the big step for Coinbase is really going to be taking this and creating a user experience that's very unique and different. I think that will be the big factor for Coinbase. Should they really kind of break into this and start to steal a little bit of OpenSea's thunder? Let's get into this right here, and this is where it kind of reaffirms this whole point I'm talking about right here. Coinbase is building its own social network for NFTs, and this is something that I do believe is the angle. As I mentioned earlier, could we see a move here of maybe these marketplaces really trying to start to curate and develop more of a community aspect? Because OpenSea is not necessarily doing that. They haven't necessarily gone the direction of truly marketplace that's combined into a potential community. Now, sure, there is community there. You develop a component in terms of your user base side of it, but it doesn't necessarily have the ability to kind of stretch the boundaries. And I think that's where maybe Coinbase is going with this. So going to be interesting to watch for sure. Coinbase was trending on Twitter right here at number 14. They were actually way up on the list today. So, it appears that the Coinbase fan group is definitely in full force. Let's look at ApeCoin and where it's going, because this is something that we're tracking on the CPI, the Crypto Power Index. If you guys are not aware of it, just check out paulbaronnetwork.com. Click the Crypto Power Index. You'll find what we do there is what we do in terms of looking at sentiment and amplification. It helps us understand where token projects are rolling. ApeCoin, of course, we started measuring really back when it first started, but this one right here started around April 7th. We looked at a little bit of a move right here. What was that move? Let's take a look here on moves on that one. I think it was around April 7th. Yeah, it was April 7th. So this one was right here all the way into April 10th. We pulled another one right here at the April 11th, which went from a 73.11, and this is really where the amplification started flying. It went to a 74.59. Now, the way amplification works and sentiment, once amplification starts to essentially perform higher than sentiment, usually we're starting to see quick action with tokens, and that's what happened with ApeCoin, moving up quickly to where it literally started right here. It really had bowled out at around $10.60 and rolled down the bowling lane to $13.30. And then, of course, went flat for a little bit. We saw the next sentiment pull in right here on this 18th this week, 74.29 and a 76.34. We haven't seen that number in a while. And again, big spike right here. And then current sentiment is slowing a little bit. So amplification actually down just slightly at 74.66. That's as of today for Wednesday. So again, I think we may see some more movement on ApeCoin as it starts to kind of, roll out for sure. But definitely something to watch. And I'd love to get your comments and your ideas around ApeCoin. And as I said earlier in the show, I'd love to know if you actually hold ApeCoin and if you're planning on keeping it. Anyway, if you're listening in over on the podcast, great. Love to see you guys over there. Make sure to check out our other podcast, TechPath Crypto. You can search just TechPath Crypto. You'll find it on whether it's Apple or Spotify. But of course, you got to jump over here to the YouTube channel. This is the place for you. Make sure and check me out on Twitter. It's @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on Metaverse Insider.